Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Irish Abroad Show. It's myself, Paul Tierney, and I'm joined this week by Paul Nealon as Jer is. I don't know what Jer is doing, but he's not around this week anyway. So fantastic to have Paul on. Paul, how are we?
All good. Jay must be doing the farming or something back in Roscommon. That's why you're probably not around. But I'm all good, Paul. How are you?
Good, 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 good. Plenty to talk about anyway ahead of this Easter weekend as well. So there'll be plenty more matches next week as well. But we'll kick off with the Premier League anyway and start off with your lads on Saturday. You got to win 1-0 against Man United, and Seamus Coleman was involved as well. A clean sheet for him. I haven't seen any of the highlights from the weekend. I've just seen the results. You probably watched it yourself. How did it go?
I was actually playing a match myself. We had our own match, drew 2-2 with Ballyown, who the lads are big fans of the show. But anyway, um, yeah, look, I expected Seamus to come back in. John Joe Kenny is just not up to scratch. And no matter how many years he's been there, he's been trying to oust Seamus Coleman. And the games that he has played in, he's been poor. John Joe Kenny, I mean. And Seamus looked like he needed a rest anyway. And with Nathan Patterson coming in, it looked like he was going to be the player who was going to just kind of slowly take over from Seamus, and Seamus was just going to come in for maybe the bigger games like Man United, but Patterson got injured. Seamus seemed to be carrying some sort of an illness, so that seemed to be the reason why he was out, and that was just obviously after international break. He came out after a decent international break with Ireland. I felt as though he was one of our better players. Kind of went quietly about his business, but still was doing well. I think the break came at the right time for him, and then obviously the Burnley game came, and he wasn't playing. I don't think we maybe lose that game if he is playing, because I don't think there's too many leaders on the pitch. But I think he is Everton's leader. But the problem is there's a lack of leaders within that squad as well as him. I would look at players like Alan, and that's probably it. Who would be a leader within that squad? And if you have the two of them missing, because obviously Alan got the red card against Newcastle, so he wasn't playing. So the fact is, if you're going into a team, and we all know from playing football ourselves, if you've only got one leader and he's not in the squad, and you concede a goal, the mentality can be a bit weak. And I think with Seamus coming back here, he just solidified that defence again. And despite what there's a lot of Everton fans who criticise Seamus and want to see him out of the team, and want to see him out, probably out of Everton, which is, I think, is absolutely disgraceful. I think he's been an unbelievable servant for the club. He still puts in performance where he can. This season probably not been his best season for a while, but when you consider he's been playing for Everton for over a decade, despite the broken leg, he's still been an unbelievable player for the club, and probably my favourite player for Everton other than Tim Cahill of all time, just with the Irish link and playing for Everton for so long, and doing so well, and the fact that he turned down moves. I just think people just in this day and age, I don't know what it is, but you can't be grateful for players anymore. Like if you notice, players get to a certain age and you just can't be great. Like fans just aren't grateful, just want to abuse them and see them out. It happened to players before at Everton with Tim Howard and Distan and other players. One player who kind of got lucky with it was Leighton Baines, because Luca Dean came in and he was allowed then kind of fizzle into the background, and he left the club there recently as a player, where he's obviously gone into coaching, but he left the club as a legend. I still think Seamus will leave the club as a legend, but I think his minutes need to be monitored, especially if he's going to be playing for Ireland as well. I think his minutes need to be monitored, because he's a key player for both teams, and he's a key player in the squad for both teams. And I think he could still do both, no problem, if Patterson's in there and they rotate maybe game to game, and maybe if it's a more defensive game that Seamus plays, or if it's a game that Everton are expected to go and dominate possession, that maybe Patterson plays, or he plays in a back three on the right hand side like he does for Ireland. He's comfortable there, and Lampard, I think, has used him there a couple of times as well. So look, it was good to see him back in. Great win for Everton. Obviously, I've been so nervous and shit myself the last few weeks with results, and I really thought after the Burnley game that was it, and Everton were getting relegated, and Nathan Collins put the burners on that for us. But it was a great result, and then obviously Norwich beating Burnley was a great result for Everton and Seamus. So I just think people are very, very quick to put down Seamus and use him as a scapegoat. One thing I would like to see him stop doing is just getting in fights all the time. He seems to be just more focused on getting fights on the pitch than he is actually the game. Maybe that's just true frustration, through the fact that Everton have been absolutely abysmal this season, possibly.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he wears his heart in his sleeve. We know that as well. So that's probably where that comes from, like you've said. But look, a great win. I think is probably safe now. I don't see like that's a
Long way
killer.
to go still.
True, there is, but I just think like Burnley, that was a game they had to win last week and on Sunday, and they didn't turn up. I watched it; they didn't turn up at all. And Norwich were good. I mean, we can't say they're dead yet, but they probably are. And look, a bad result for Watford at home to Leeds as well. I mean, I think Leeds are well safe now as well. I think they have been for the last couple of weeks as well. But look, good to see he's getting a result, particularly against Man United. I know Arsenal didn't take advantage of it, but I mean, United are just desperate. They're just a desperate team. They're desperate to watch, and it's actually. I never thought I'd say it's sad, but it's actually sad to look at how bad they are. Like it's ridiculous. Like but we can move on anyway. We go on to Matt Doherty. He went off injured after 21 minutes against Aston Villa for Spurs. That's a bit of big blow for Ireland and a big blow for Stephen Kenny and Matt as well.
I think so, yeah, because he's going to miss the Nations League apparently. I think he was only really getting going, wasn't he? He was only starting to show, glimpses of what he was doing with Wolves and why Spurs signed him originally. And the formation and everything suited Matt Doherty down to the ground with Conte. And he seemed to be really enjoying his football. I mean, he's there playing with Harry Kane and he's playing with Son and these lads. And he looks like he gets on, he looks like he gets on great with them. But I think he'd just be going out golfing and all with Harry Kane and all. So I think despite things not really going well for him on the pitch, he was enjoying life off the pitch with Spurs and in London. But I think as well as that, he was just, even at the international stage, he normally gets injured. He came out of the international break. He had a good international window, I felt. Came back in, and then he was going back into Spurs, high on confidence, scoring goals, getting assists. He was doing really, really well. So it is. But look, I think if Conte stays, it means that Matt's future there is safe, and I think that he really likes him. It will be interesting to see, will he bring in another maybe wing back as well there, because Conte loves his wing backs. I mean, he made Victor Moses look like Roberto Carlos, or did he play on the right? I can't remember if he did.
He played on the right, and Marcus Alonso, I mean, as well. Like, he's an awful footballer, really. Like, and he just gets away with being good at free kicks and playing in a back five. So like that's just it. Or back three with wing backs. Yeah.
But he was like he was one of the best players in the league when Chelsea won. Was it 2017 when they won the league? And he was class for them, and he made him look that good. Do you know what I mean? He has a knack for making wing backs really, really, really good. And I think Doherty fell into that nice bracket where he was starting to really like turn the momentum, because it really did look like he was on his way out. I mean, it was loads of links that he was going back to Wolves and stuff like that just before January. He stayed during January, and then he was really kicking on. And Spurs looked like they were really kicking on, which I know you didn't like because you're an Arsenal fan, but I'm sure you wanted to see Matt do well despite that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think with Spurs, since Conte came in, I was saying they're going to get top four because he's just that good a manager. I know it's usually only in a short time, but you can see it. And look, they hammered Villa last week. Like, Villa away is a tough game. You saw Arsenal beat them 1-0 the other week, and they were criticised for celebrating winning a very tough game, which they normally wouldn't win. But like, you look at Spurs, that's a cracking result, and Villa is a very tough place to go. I think it's in Spurs' hands now, obviously, because Arsenal have lost 2 games in a row, and I think they'll get it because they're just the strongest team, and they've got the strongest squad, and they've got the best manager of the 4 who are going for it as well. I think West Ham, if they weren't in Europe, they'd still be going for it. But I think they're going to win tonight, and I think they're going to play in the semi-final. So that's another 2 Thursday nights they're going to have to put up with, and that's just going to see them fall away. But that's still a fantastic season for West Ham. Like, that has to be said too. But I think if United finish above all 3 of them, I think it's a failure for all 3 of them, because I think all of them are better than United, and I mean, we still have to play them as well. I don't know what to make of that one, to be honest. I don't know what to make of Arsenal at the minute. But look, Spurs are strong. Matt was doing very, very well. That's a problem for Conte now. But look, I still think they're going to get it. I still think they're the strongest side. And you look with the lads up front as well. They just score at any time they want, and Harry Kane gets assists as well all the time. So they're just extremely strong, and fair play to them, and fair play to Matt for getting into that side as well. But there's two more bits of information I got from the weekend in the Premier League anyway. So Will Smallbone got 17 minutes in the Southampton 6-0 defeat to Chelsea. Obviously coming on in that's not really ideal, to be honest. And Nathan Collins got the full 90 minutes again, but Burnley were beaten 2-0 by Norwich. Now it's good to see Nathan getting a bit of time, but I know it's obviously because Ben Mee is out injured, and he'd probably be on the bench if Ben Mee was there. But fair play to him. He was very involved on Sunday as well. They seemed to be aiming for him all the time from corners as well.
He's a big lad, you know. Mm-hmm. I think I'm excited for what he's going to do for Ireland in the future. I'm excited for his future. I think he's more than just a brute defender, which is what Burnley kind of are using him. Burnley are like the new Stoke in a way, you know, just in that kind of the way they play. They're horrible to play against, as Everton found out last week. And they'll turn up in different games, but they're not amazing. Like, I watched that game where Everton played them last week, and Everton were dominating, despite Burnley obviously getting the extra 2 goals to win the game. But for me, they lack a lot going forward, and I don't think that's Nathan's fault. I think he's done well defensively. I mean, the games I've seen, I know he got sent off in one of the games I saw, but I thought that was actually unlucky. But I think it's extremely hard as a young lad coming into that defence, playing in a team that are struggling down the bottom of the table, to try and really stand out. You know, look at his performance against Lithuania. I think he was man of the match. Really good, looks really solid. So I think, again, but he actually came from Stoke, funny enough. But I think his next move will be telling. I think he will, if they go down and he stays with them, I think that's fine as well. But I think he could move to a Premier League side. I know Arsenal and a few others were looking at him when he was at Stoke. So it could be interesting to see if they'll decide to, you know, not cash in on him, because obviously they'll have the parachute payments and stuff like that. They might decide to try and have 1 year in the Championship to see. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for him, because we're going to have a lot of our centre-backs in the Championship next year, because Omobamidele is likely to be back down there with Norwich. Then you have John Egan. Then you have probably Nathan Collins, Darragh Lenihan, Dara O'Shea. So a lot of our centre-backs, you know, you've got Shane Duffy in the Premier League, but he's still not playing as often as we would like. But that doesn't really faze me, because when he comes in and plays for Ireland, he's still quite good. But I don't think for Nathan's development, he's still very, very young. I still think, regardless if they stay up or go down, the likelihood of them going down, it means more game time for him. So you got to take some positives out, although I would like to see him stay in the Premier League and develop as a Premier League player more so.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they go down as well, I think Tarkovsky will leave and go back up to the Premier League, because I think he's of that standard, which means Collins will come in. I don't think Ben Mee would leave, because, I mean, he's a bit older and he's Burnley through and through, really. So, like, he's not going to just leave. But, yeah, definitely, I think. And he's doing well, and fair play to him on that. It's hard to break into any Premier League team, never mind one who are struggling as well. So, look, fair play to him.
I think as well, just on Smallbone, I think he's a good player and stuff like that. I worry for Southampton maybe next year that they probably, you know, they're just lingering. A bit like Burnley, where they were just lingering in the Premier League. They're not really pushing on. They're not really doing much. And the likelihood is Everton will probably get better. Leeds may get better if they stay up as well, in terms of, you know, their squad. Newcastle will definitely be better. So Brentford, if they lose Eriksen and maybe Ivan Toney, you know, they'll probably be down. But you look at that, and Southampton could be in trouble next year. I just would like to see Will Smallbone capped, though, maybe in the summer, because he obviously had that bad injury. He's just coming back, but I think he's going to be a good player. And I think if you look at the Irish team, there's not that many Premier League players playing, and he does be getting into the Premier League squad with Southampton quite a bit. Now, as I said, they're not the main West, and that's probably why he's getting in there. And that's not a slight on him, but I think we should be looking to get him capped as soon as possible, just to put any sort of, you know, bewildering doubts out of the way. And we don't need another Declan Rice. We don't need him getting a bad name and people on his case to get called up when he's not really, only the manager can call him up. It's not really his problem until that happens. But I'd like to see him just get capped and get that out of the way,
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And there's been so many of them, like you mentioned, Declan Rice and stuff. Just stop the doubt and just get them in and keep them there. That's what we need. That's it for the Premier League anyway. I can run through the Championship and then we can have a brief talk after about it maybe because there's a lot to get through. So I'll just run through it quickly. So I'll start off with the early game on Saturday. There was clean sheets for John Egan, Enda Stevens, and Mark Travers as Sheffield United drew 0-0 with Bournemouth. Conor Hourihane and Robbie Brady were both late substitutes in that game for either side. Darragh Lenihan was back in and Richard Keogh played as well as Blackburn drew 1-1 with Blackpool there. Sammy Schmodix and Jack Taylor helped Peterborough to a point at Bristol City. Still no Callum HudsonOdoi there. I think he's still injured. It was a clean sheet for Sean McLaughlin as Hull beat Aaron Connolly's Middlesbrough 1-0 away. Good result for Hull and another clean sheet for Sean McLaughlin's defence. The main talking point of the weekend, a double for Danny McNamara as Millwall beat Barnsley 4-1 now. He was in and out of the side at the start of the season. He's now in and he's really, really doing well the last few weeks. Whenever I hear Millwall on Gillette Soccer Saturday, he's always involved in any attacking play. So that's brilliant to hear for Danny and hopefully he gets a cap soon as well. And
just on here, Paul, just before you go for any further, just with Doherty out, could be an opportunity for him. That's all I'll say. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and he's in form as well, so why not? Definitely deserves.
Same as Cyrus though. Cyrus is doing well with Swansea, but anyway.
Yeah. I think Cyrus is playing in a different position as well because whenever I see the teams, he's in the midfield, like kind of as a holding midfielder. So I don't know. I don't know.
He did that for Ireland once under O'Neill for Matt Doherty, didn't he?
Yeah.
He didn't trust him, so he played him in midfield.
Yeah. I like that. That's the thing. I mean, like Benny does it as well for Rotherham, from what I see in the team lineups as well. So I mean, it's good to see. It's good to see that we have versatile players. Anyway, that's the thing. That's what you want. Anyway, we keep going. We go to Preston. Greg Cunningham, Alan Brown and Sean Maguire all played in Preston's 2-1 win over QPR at Deepdale. Unfortunately, Jimmy Dunn scored an own goal in that, but he did get the full 90 minutes. QPR have collapsed a little bit in the playoff race the last couple of weeks, same with Blackburn. Joel Bagan helped Cardiff to a 2-1 win over Reading. And as we were just talking about Cyrus Christie, he played with Michael Obafemi for Swansea and Jason Knight, Festi Ebisele and Aaron Cashin played for Derby in Swansea's 2-1 win there on Saturday. And Callum Robinson did get another goal for this season, but West Brom are beaten 3-1 by Stoke City and Jack Bonham was in goal for them. So plenty to talk about there, Paul. Good to see Callum Robinson scoring. I mean, he's been fairly consistent throughout the season as well for both Ireland and West Brom, even though they've struggled.
Where do we begin? Look, Callum Robinson, I don't think he's been fairly consistent over the course of the season. What I do think is he's really kicked on since he scored those 2 goals for the 2 goals after he got the attack basically on him by the Irish media about the jab, and then he got the hat-trick. I think he really kicked on from there. I think he got a lot of confidence from that. I think the Irish team got a lot of confidence from the it's us against yous mentality. I think that's when Ireland are at their best, but not when the media are all pally-pally with the players. I think they prefer it to be us against the rest. And I think that helped Robinson. I think he's maybe taken that mentality with him at club level. And he always looks as danger and he always looks a threat. I would like to see him playing regularly in the Premier League, but seems to be doing well at Championship level and seems to have found a home in West Brom where they'll play him more centrally, where he seems to be more effective, in my opinion. Stephen Kenny seems to think he's better off the left, but from one of the games I've seen him play down the middle, he just looks more of a threat. And when he does play down the middle, like we saw against Belgium, he can drift out wide right and wide left, and that allows maybe a midfielder or whatever to come in, or maybe Ogbene to come in, like he scored the overhead kick. So I think he helps a lot of the players around him with his movement, and obviously then the goals and stuff like that. But any side that have Irish players, I love to see them doing well, and I really like West Brom because they generally have a few Irish players playing for them. So I like them in Norwich. I like to see them do well,
Yeah, definitely. But I'll just mention as well, Jason Malumbi did play in that game as well. I forgot to say that. But Yeah,
Oh,
a
he
couple of
signed
lads.
permanently with them as well. Over the
Yeah.
international break, I believe.
He's doing well for them. I mean, he's always in and out, but like he's always involved. And I mean, he seems like the sort of player Steve Bruce would like as well. You know, dogged, gets stuck in, and like constantly going. So I mean, yeah, I mean West Brom, they're not going to get playoffs this year. I don't think. They collapsed at the wrong time, and look, they'll go again next year, and they're always going to be in the promotion talk if you think about it, especially at the start of the season. So yeah, good to see. Sorry, God. Good to see, and always
Voice
loads of
breaking.
Irish. Yes, voice breaking. Yeah, it's been a long time since that happened as well. But yeah, I mean, great to see, and good on West Brom giving them opportunities as well. Obviously, Darragh O'Shea is there too.
Yeah,
Um,
legend.
that wraps up the championship. Anyway, we can move on into League One, and I mean, the lads are scoring for fun in League One at the minute. Anyway, we start off with Troy Parrott. He got a late equaliser in MK Don's 1-1 draw with Wimbledon. That's obviously those two sides don't like each other very much, to be honest. And Connor Coventry and Maureen O'Hara are involved for MK Dons in that as well. They're actually second now, MK Dons, and they're going ahead of Rotherham. So look, they'll keep going, and like plenty to still fight for with 2 games coming up in 4 days now in the next couple of days. Kieran Sadlier got 73 minutes in Bolton's 1-1 draw with Sheffield Wednesday on Saturday as well. And Will Keane scored his 21st league goal of the season, and he grabbed an assist as Wigan beat Lincoln 3-1 on Saturday. And Anthony Scully scored for the home side there as well. So a lot of Irish involvement there. And just a couple of things from Tuesday night. Will Keane played in Wigan's 0-0 draw with Burton. That kept Wigan 4 points clear at the top. So they're the ones in charge. I think they have a couple more games in hand as well. So they're definitely in charge. Anyway, it's theirs to lose at the minute.
It's
And
in their
Portsmouth,
destiny.
yes, it's in their destiny. And Portsmouth as well, they surprisingly beat Rotherham 3-0, have had an up and down season, Portsmouth. Marcus Harness got a goal and Sean Raggett got an assist as they beat Rotherham 3-0.
Did
And
Gavin Bazunu get a clean sheet? Oh, sorry,
he
you were
did
gonna
get
say.
a clean sheet as well, yeah. Gavin Bazunu got a clean sheet. Ronan Curtis played as well, Sean Williams and Aidan O'Brien. And Joshua
Jesus,
Coyote,
so many of them there, isn't there?
yes, 6 of them, because they signed O'Brien in January as well.
Yeah.
So it's you always have to look at Portsmouth anyway, that's for sure. And Joshua Coyote and Chidozie Ogbeni all played in that as well. So 8 players of how many played were all Irish in that game. So that's good to see. Two big enough sides as well, particularly Portsmouth. So yeah, good to see. A couple of things from League Two as well. There was a late winner from Pádraig Amond, the Nexters 1-0 win over Carlisle. He'd been injured on and off this season as well, so great to see him grab a winner. An assist for Will Ferry in Crawley's 1-0 win over Barrow on Saturday as well. A clean sheet for Paddy O'Connor in Bradford's 0-0 draw with Northampton. Conor Grant scored the winner for Rochdale in their 1-0 win over Walsall. Corey O'Keefe, Owen O'Connell, Liam Kelly all played for Rochdale as well. And Conor Wilkinson and Emmanuel Osadebe both played for Walsall in that as well. So good to see there. And just something from one more. There was a goal and assist for Stephen McLaughlin, and Stephen Quinn got a goal as well. Now there's a name who that's a name anyway, in a 4-0 win over Scunthorpe. That relegated Scunthorpe actually, but Mansfield have a load of Irish lads playing for them as well. And Stephen Quinn, I mean, every time I see him, I just think of Sheffield United back in like 2010 and stuff like. So big ginger heading them in the red kit, but yeah, mad. And just one bit from the conference as well. There's a double for Paddy Madden in Stockport's 5-0 win over Southend. I think they're 8 points clear of Wrexham at the top of the table, so it looks like they're going to get automatic promotion anyway. So plenty to talk about in the Football League as always, Paul.
I'll just start with Troy. Just great to see him enjoying his football again. He had that woeful spell with Millwall, injuries. Then he went to Ipswich, didn't really click for him, wasn't scoring that many goals. He hasn't been prolific, but again, he came out of the international break on such a high. Scoring that goal for Ireland in the Aviva was huge for him. I know that much. That would have been his dream to do that one day. Now, obviously in a more competitive game, but the fact of how it was done was amazing. It gave everyone a lift coming out of that game, because if we had a draw in that game, you imagine the doom and gloom going into the summer games. But the fact is, we won the game. He scored the goal. He came on and looked direct, and he was the one that made the difference, in my opinion. Him and Knight all the Dublin lads basically. When all the Cork lads went off, we ended up winning the game, didn't we?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
only joking, Cork fans, before you start going mad.
And
But anyway,
Aaron Howie.
yeah, no, yeah. Well, Aaron actually, Tony O'Donoghue actually liked my tweet when I said that when all the Dublin lads came on. We ended up winning the game. But anyway, we are all Ireland. It doesn't matter what county we're from. But anyway, I just think the way he's playing at the moment, it's interesting to see, obviously, how he finishes the season, but it's interesting to see, will Conte be looking at him now and being like, right, this young fella, the penny's dropped. He's got, I was going to say world-class talent, but I'm not going to say world. He's got good talent, and there's serious potential there with Troy, which you can see. Like, he's got something, he's got a bit of an X factor about him that a lot of players don't have. Is he can be quite cool in front of goal. He always seems relaxed, and he scores all different types of goals. If you look at maybe his highlight reel over the last number of seasons, and you look at the types of goals he's scored, he's literally scored every type of goal you can think of, whether it's Panenka penalties, whether it's knuckleball free kicks, whether it's tap-ins, whether it's long shots like against Lithuania, or when he was playing at the Spurs underage team. And then you look at the goals that he's scoring in the last week. The one where he takes down his right foot, I think it is, at the edge of the box, lifts it over the keeper with his left foot into the far corner. Then he scores that volley against AFC Wimbledon at the weekend. And you just look at, he literally has everything you could want from a player, and he can play in a number of positions. So I think if he can go back, and as I said, it looks like the penny's dropped with him after going through a bit of a struggle, which is great to see. I think the fact that he has Connor Coventry there, and he has Warren O'Hara there as well with him, who he's obviously comfortable with, and he's played with Connor Coventry at the underage level as it was, and they enjoyed good success together with the games that they played together. But I think when you're looking at Troy now, he looks like he's much more mature, which naturally is going to happen as a human being when you get to that age anyway, but he's maturing as a footballer more importantly. And I think it will be interesting. I hope they finish strong towards the end of the season and maybe get promotion. And if that's the case, he may get another loan and stay there. But if he can even get near the Spurs first team, I'd obviously prefer that. But I think he could maybe benefit with another year of first team football where he is the main man, like at MK Dons, where he seems to be the manager's first choice, even if he's not playing well. And I think the manager has done a great job there, because he is, credited him in the press conference that he did with the international team. And I think he's been a big help to him in terms of the way they play and stuff like that. And I think that's helped him with Ireland. He's probably got a lack of minutes with Ireland because the other players have been doing better than him, like Chio and Callum Robinson and stuff like that, because they've been scoring. I think that's the only reason why he's maybe not getting a look in. So look, I just hope that he can continue this upward spiral and this upward trajectory that he's going on at the moment, and take it into pre-season and just see where he goes from there. But look, I said, if MK Dons get promoted and he can get another loan move there, it wouldn't be the end of the world. But again, I think it'd be nice for Conte to have a good look at him and see how much he has developed while being away, and see does he maybe take a chance on keeping him in the squad for next season. Who was the other players that you mentioned scored at the weekend?
Will Keane got his 21st of the League One season. I mean, that's good going, like, for a striker who a lot of people wouldn't have really rated from seeing him with Ipswich for a long time. And, it's great. He's got 22 in all competitions as well. So that's great going at any level, really, I think.
But I think there's a good point there. There's a comment there from Ken Carmody. And he just, I think this is something we were talking about earlier, and he just commented, but I think it's worthwhile noting. He just said 100% by the time the qualifiers come around, there will be competition for every position. We're not far off now. Next season, almost all our League One players will be Championship footballers, which I think is a good point. Like, again, I know Connor Coventry and I know Troy are both loaned at MK Dons, but again, it might be no harm for even Connor to get a loan there as well, which would be good and beneficial for him if he's not going to get into the West Ham team. I know he's been close a couple of times, but I think if they finish strongly, the likelihood is Moyes will probably bring in another player, a ready-made player more so. Even though I think Moyes is quite good at bringing through players, and he's done it most of his career in management, and he's did it with Everton. He's done it now at West Ham as well. If you look at Declan Rice, I know we don't really want to talk about him, but he's done it with him and a couple of other players. Their left back, or is it right back, Johnson as well.
Yeah.
So he's done it with a fair few players. So Connor may get lucky. It depends on how he finishes the season. But look, he's enjoying his football there. But either way, and even do 3 go up from League One? I think it is the playoffs.
Yeah, 1 goes playoffs and 2 are automatic. So Rotherham are third now, but like it'll all change over this weekend. Like the matches are all over the place this weekend. So, and I'm sure someone has to play someone anyway. So that'll just throw it up in the mix even more. Like,
but I do think Ken is right, because even if you look at, like, say Derby get relegated, the Irish players aren't staying there. Like, they're moving on. Whether they stay Championship or move on. Like Festi's gone Serie A. Jason Knight will probably go somewhere Championship or Premier League. I'd personally love to see him at Everton. Lampard may make that happen if he goes on the cheap. So yeah, I just think when you're looking at it, Ken's right that there's going to be a lot of competition, and next season will be interesting because every one of our players, generally speaking, and our higher rated players, will be playing at a higher level.
Okay, guys, sorry about that. Just a bit of a technical glitch there on my part, unfortunately. But look, we'll go straight back on into it. Paul was just saying how he'd like to see Jason Knight get a move, maybe to Everton. Who knows? But yeah, I think he's definitely well capable. And look, he could definitely kick on. He's a fantastic player. He dictates games and he's able to change games very, very quickly. So yeah, I'd agree with you on that. And
I was just going to say as well was that I was going to move on to Bazunu. Is just the fact that obviously he won't be at Portsmouth, and he will be. There's links with him now to Serie A and to the Bundesliga and Premier League clubs as well. So he definitely won't be playing in a less well. He'll be at a top level for a top goalkeeper. Whereas obviously he's been playing at a lesser level, but shown that he can play at a much higher level internationally with Ireland. So I just think that it's going to be a good time next season, I think, for Irish footballers with a bit of luck.
Yeah, definitely. They're well capable as well, as we know. We see them all the time, so definitely well capable for the step up as well. We can move on into Scotland now, and I've only got a few bits. A couple of lads played, but there's no point in mentioning playing anyway. I just said James McCarthy got 15 minutes in Celtic's 7-0 win over St Johnstone. Dan Cleary didn't get on at all for St Johnstone, and he's probably delighted he didn't as well, to be honest, because Celtic are on fire at the minute. And Luke O'Connell got a goal. He got 92nd minute winner from the penalty spot as Queen's Park beat East 5-0. I know Luke O'Connell, we've all expected a bit more from him, but it's good to see him playing and scoring regularly anyway, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think he's just stopped and start the whole time since he's been at Celtic. He was obviously really highly thought of at Bolton, and he was doing well at the underage with Ireland. It hasn't really kicked on. You'd like to hope that it will soon, but the longer it goes on of him playing at that lesser level, the less likely it will be. Look, it's unfortunate with Irish players going to Scotland. Small percentage of them work out. A lot of them don't. Even with Liam Scales now, he's just gone completely AWOL. I don't know where he is in terms of playing after the Bodo Glint game. And then the only player in recent times, or the only two, is the two lads at St Mirren, Conor Ronan and Jamie McGrath, who've done well up at Scotland. So I don't know whether Scotland's as good of a place to go. It's done all right for Ross Tierney in some ways, but again, I just don't see it as a great place for Irish players to develop all the time. But some do. But like with Luke O'Connell, I think the English game probably suited him better. And look, I just think it'd be interesting to see where he ends up in the summer, or what the story is. Will he just leave Celtic and go back to Bolton or something like that? I don't know. But he needs his home comforts around him to be more confident and settle better, because he doesn't look like he's settled that well. Afalabi as well, another player who hasn't really settled there. So Lee O'Connor as well, who went back to Tranmere and then revived his career as well. So Maybe he needs to move back to England.
Yeah, maybe. Sure. Look, it's a long career. Well, it's a short career, but it's a long career, and he's still only quite young. So look, he's playing, he's scoring, and he might get a move off that as well. So that's
I
that's
think what
that's
you
great.
mean to say is he's a long way to go.
He's a long way to go. Yes, yes, he's a long way to go. We can move on into Europe now. Anyway, a couple of things to mention. Josh Cullen helped Anderlecht to a 3-2 win over Kortrijk. I don't know how to say that, but they're in their they've gone into their split season now as well from this weekend. Anderlecht, and they've got their cup final on Easter Monday as well. So that's against Ghent. So that's a big one for Josh. Maybe get his hands on a bit of silverware and a medal as well. Hopefully, and well deserved as well. Loved by the Anderlecht fans and plays 90 minutes every week from what we see anyway. And Zach Elbazetti helped AIK to their first win of the season. I'm not sure who they beat, but I know he played. He was part of it, and they won after losing the first game of the season. So that's good to hear anyway, that they're straight back on track. And Graham Carey got a half, but CSK Sevilla lost to Lokomotiv Plovdiv. So that's the story from Europe. Will you be watching Josh on? Oh no, you won't be because you'll be going to the Shells match. But you'll be watching. You'll be looking out for Josh on Monday against Ghent in that Belgian Cup final. Anyway, Paul.
I'll have my phone on me and checking out for updates and stuff like that. But I'd love to see him win it, of course. I think he's been a huge player for Ireland since Stephen Kenny brought him in. I made him a serious player is more so what I mean. I know Mick McCarthy originally brought him in, but I mean as an actual starter, and he's just kicked on, and it's great to see. He's a leader for Anderlecht, and he's just a brilliant ball carrier and just sets the tempo for the team and stuff like that. So I'd love to see him win something. It's just like nice to see an Irish player win cups like Caoimhín Kelleher did it, despite it being with Liverpool. I was delighted for him. So yeah, the more cups and the more it becomes then a winning mentality with our players, and that's more what we want, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's fantastic to see anyway. And they're doing very well in Belgian League as well. Now, they're not going to win it, but they're in the European places anyway to qualify for Europe next year. So maybe if they could sneak second spot, it's a Champions League qualifier, that'd be great for them as well. And I think after missing out on Europe this year so closely, after I think they only lost to Vitesse by a goal or something, like, it'd be great for them to get back into Europe anyway, because they haven't been in a while. So it'd be good to see. Um, that's it for Europe anyway. There's a couple of things from America and Australia to finish off. We start off with the MLS. John Gallagher got just over half an hour as Austin FC got another win against Minnesota United. There was 30 minutes for Jake Mulroney, but Atlanta were beaten by Charlotte. And Shane O'Neill played the full 90 minutes as Toronto drew 2-2 with Real Salt Lake. Then we go to Australia. Only one bit of information. Well, two bits for Jay O'Shea anyway. On the weekend, he scored a 92nd minute equaliser from the penalty spot against Western Sydney Wanderers for Brisbane Roar. And he helped the side to a clean sheet in their 0-0 draw at Melbourne victory yesterday. So they're still down the bottom in Australia, but Jay O'Shea's had a very good season. We're always talking about him on this as well. And we know he's a very talented lad. Was in England, obviously played for Bray and Galway here as well. So good to see, like lads everywhere playing football. Irish lads playing everywhere. I just, like, especially in the MLS, I just can't believe there's Irish lads over there, to be honest. Like, it's such a big league as well, even though it's not that popular. It's a massive league.
Yeah, well, I think, we have talented Irish players. It just doesn't always work for them in England or whatever. It doesn't mean that they're not good. Like Jake Mulroney was playing at Hearts and he moved to Atlanta, and he scores big goals for them there. Not that long ago, he was scoring last minute, either equalisers or winners. So yeah, it's a more athletic league is all I would say. But
Yeah.
in terms of the quality, like we do have good technical, good players that are Irish. And Jay O'Shea, I have a friend actually on Facebook who does always get pictures with him. Her son loves him, and he's always getting pictures with them. They obviously live in Brisbane, and they go to watch them. So he's a big player there. He's obviously quite popular, and the fact that he's Irish obviously helps in the MLS. Derek Williams doing well as well. I think the LA Galaxy, you said they beat.
He hasn't played for them at all really this season. He was always in last year, but from what me and Jer have been talking about since it started, he hasn't really been involved that much. He's been on the bench and then he's been out. He hasn't been involved. Maybe he's still coming back from injury because he does seem to pick up a few injuries.
Did he not play? I thought I seen his agent posting up a picture of him congratulating him beating
Maybe he did.
the other LA side, but maybe I'm
Oh
wrong.
yeah. Maybe
But
he did.
he did announce that he was having a new baby, so maybe that was why he posted it. But
Yeah, maybe. That's my fault anyway. I should have probably looked at that. I forgot to check him actually because he hasn't been playing and he hasn't been involved at all. So I just kind of you forget then, you forget,
Yeah.
And then you get called out
well,
by
there
someone.
is so many.
There's so many. It's mad, but it's great. Keeps your interest in it anyway. That wraps it up anyway for this week. Plenty more action next week. Obviously, we've got double game week with Good Friday and Easter Monday in the lower leagues, and then the Premier League, the FA Cup semi-finals as well. Tons going on. So, look, thanks very much, Paul. Anyway, for keeping going. Sorry about the mishap earlier, folks, as well. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks very much for watching again, guys. And thanks again to Paul for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'll speak to you all soon.